Okay, every once in a while, somebody reaches out for coaching with us, and we can instantly tell that not only are they going to get amazing results, but they're just going to be awesome to work with. And today's guest on 5 Minutes with is the perfect example of both of those. Welcome to 5 Minutes with Sawyer. Thanks for being here, Sawyer. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Awesome.
I'm a little sore. Just did the Murph the other day.
Wait,
So I'm
no spoilers. I was going to bring that up later. But okay, so I tried to add this up in my head, Sawyer, and I think that we've worked with approximately 20 of your family members, if not more. So a lot of times I like to ask people, how did you find us? But it's kind of pointless to ask. But I do remember talking with you on the phone a long time before you even signed up for coaching. Do you remember about that conversation, and why did you decide to reach out in the first place?
yeah, I definitely remember that conversation. So as you said, about roughly 20 of my family members. It's only like four of my family members, but still that's a lot. Have all worked with you previously. And so I heard raving reviews and I wanted to get back into lifting again and just taking care of my body physically. Um, I'd been doing some like things at home that just weren't pushing me in the ways that I wanted to. I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. Like it was sustaining me, and I felt like I was getting good cardio workouts and that kind of stuff in, but um, nothing that was actually like helping me with my goals. And
Hmm.
so yeah, so when we talked on the phone, my older brother Grayson encouraged me to reach out to you, and then when we talked on the phone, and you kind of one of the first things you asked me was, "What are your goals?" And I told you, I'm trying to put on some weight. I want to build muscle. I've always been, a very skinny dude, and so I wanted to, yeah, add on muscle, and had just no idea where to start.
What was kind of an example of what you would do for your fitness before we started working together? If your goal was to build muscle, like kind of what were you doing?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of this in two facets. One is nutrition. I didn't do anything.
You didn't
Um,
eat?
yeah, no, I didn't eat anything. No, I just didn't change the way that I was eating.
Hmm.
Um, I am, I have a fair amount of dietary restrictions, and so a lot of the foods that I ate ended up being like meats and veggies and fruits and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But it was more so about quantity, and then knowing. Yeah, I just didn't know about macros. I didn't even know what that was or how to balance my diet well
Hmm.
to achieve my goals. That's the first facet. And then the other facet was I didn't know what exercises to do. So I kind of just Googled like how, building mass programs at
Uh-huh.
home or whatever. And not having a lot of equipment at home at the time. Since then, my dad has been working with you and has bought a lot of equipment. But prior to that, not having much equipment at home, I think the heaviest set of dumbbells I had like access to were 30s.
Hmm.
So I just ended up doing a lot of reps with lighter weights. And so I was getting like more toned, but I wasn't putting on any weight. And I wasn't really
Hmm.
losing any weight either. Which again, I wasn't looking to lose weight, but I wasn't putting anything on. Like my weight wasn't changing at all. And so yeah, it ended up being like I did a lot of ab workout because I really enjoyed those. I don't know why. I just did it.
You like torture.
I like torture, yeah. Um, so yeah, but
It makes sense.
trying to answer the
I think
question.
it's probably a common thing that a lot of people have gone through. Like, you Google, like everybody does, like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And you find something, and it's kind of like a starting point a lot of times, but without the guidance of a coach, whether it's us or somebody else, like, you don't really know exactly what to do. And the most important, probably missing piece was that you didn't have a kind of a plan for progress. And progress is the thing that allows you to build muscle and strength. And that's one of the things that I love about the app that we coach people through is the fact that, you and I can communicate. I can see what you're doing, and you can look back and be empowered to know, okay, here's what I did last time.
Yeah.
Here's what I should aim to be. Like, how has your kind of perspective around working out changed now that you understand how progress is made?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. one of those things is that the goals are important and they're helpful, but they're not everything because goals change.
Hmm.
um, so for instance, I had a goal to gain 10 pounds since last October and I've done it. Woohoo! Um, but now I have other goals, those goals have changed. Um, but a very valuable lesson I think that's helped and what you've been really helpful with because you're more than just a nutrition and fitness coach, physical fitness coach. You also have coached me with like mindset stuff, which has been life changing as far as the way that I approach exercise. Um, so more than just the goal, it's about, it sounds so corny because I feel like every white girl has it like on a pillow, but it's about the journey. It's about like the process,
Hmm.
and it's those minuscule changes that you see that happen over time and over longer periods of time.
Hmm.
I look back and see patterns of, oh, wow, okay, I don't feel a lot of shame when I eat a sugary treat anymore, or I don't feel bad if I have, too much fat in my diet for a day or something like, because it's not about, making a mistake. It's not about mistakes. It's just about having the agency to make a decision towards whatever direction you're going on in the journey. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man, that's super powerful. I hope that that really hits home with people that are listening to this because it is such a thing that people struggle with. We get so focused in on the things that we think we're quote doing wrong that we just lose perspective over the, like you said, the journey and the fact that life is made up. Every day is made up of all these little choices that we get to make. And one little decision, really great or really bad, has no impact on the direction of which way we're headed or the result that we're going to get. It is about the bigger picture. And the consistency that you put into your nutrition and to your training are the reason that you're getting the results that you are, not because of one amazing workout or one day that you resisted the cake, but the big picture. And
Right.
I hope people walk away from this conversation remembering that super important thing. You
Sure.
touched on a little bit on the mindset side of things. And I remember when we first started working together, our main focus was really building strength and muscle. And then we've kind of slowly added in more challenging conditioning into your workouts. And I think that's where the mindset side comes in with a lot of people more because it's hard to push yourself when you're out of breath. And I remember having conversations with you like, Sawyer, like you're proving to yourself every day that you can do hard things.
Mm.
And you alluded in the when we first started talking about something really hard you just did a couple days ago. Tell us about tackling the workout Murph on Memorial Day.
Yeah. Oh man. So I'm not just saying this because I don't believe in myself or anything like that, but I genuinely could not have done that last year. There's no way. Um, if I would have gotten halfway, I would have just probably keeled over and died. It was it was intense. There was a lot of conditioning and just yeah, intensity put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I on Monday, I with a group of friends did the Murph, and there were 8 of us doing it, and I was the last to finish. And about halfway through, so I was doing 20 rounds of 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats, to get to the 100, 200, 300 total reps. And so I was doing 20 rounds. At round 10, half of the people in the group were already doing their final mile.
Mm.
And I started to have these messages go through my head of like, look at you, like you're weak, you're not as strong as these people. And there was, well, first of all, I had your voice in my head saying you can do hard things. And then I actually just started saying out loud to myself, like under my breath, like you can do this, Sawyer, like you can
That's
do it,
awesome.
keep going, And I had to take a breather, like I had to stop, for 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there to just breathe and like catch my breath and then jump back into it. And so yeah, like there were so many things about it. Like I felt like I didn't have to think really hard about my form of even like the squat. Like I did, a deep squat. My stance was good. It felt good. I was doing kipping pull-ups, which I mean, I feel like after doing 100 of them the other day, I feel like I really have them now. And even like thinking about like position of like how to do push-up, where do your elbows go, right? Um, and And a full push-up means chest, you know,
Hmm.
waist to the ground, body to the ground, and then back up again. Like all these things. And as I was going through it, one of the things that I realized was I started watching some of the other people, and they weren't doing, not all of them were doing full push-ups, not all of them were doing full squats. And it was just helpful to me of like, okay, it doesn't matter. Like, just let them do their journey, and
Hmm.
you focus on what you're doing, and try to finish it within an hour. See if you can do that. And I finished it at 56 minutes
I
with
love
four
it,
minutes
man.
there. But yeah, it was really hard. Like it was mostly a mental game of just
Hmm.
can do this, keep going.
It really is, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of the mental game, you are also a coach that
Mhm.
really helps people with mindset related things. You use the Enneagram to help people navigate their past and, help them work on developing healthy coping mechanisms. Kind of
Yeah.
tell us more about what that means and how it ties into your own health and fitness journey.
Sure. Yeah. So really 30,000 foot overview. The Enneagram is a tool that helps us put a language to the lens through which we see the world. We come into this world and we grow up thinking everyone sees the world the same way we do. And then as we get older and we start having conflict and such with other people, we pretty quickly realize, oh, not everyone sees the world the same way I do. So rather than you might have, like a blue tinted lens through which you see. I might have a bright orange tinted lens through which I see. And there's no way of knowing that without communicating that. So the Enneagram simply gives a language for what that perspective is. And I think for me, with my own, my own Enneagram type that I lead with, I realized that one of the biggest things I struggle with is agency and remembering that I am separate apart from other people. I'm separate apart from other people's validation and affirmation and appreciation of me. I am my own person. And
Hmm.
so with that means I can make my own decisions. And so that's really helped me with this fitness journey because that word agency has been so meaningful for me and has reminded me, hey, you have the choice to do all four of these sets. You also have the choice to stop at set three if that's what you're choosing today, and that's okay.
Hmm.
Uh, you have the choice to go up in weights this week. You have the choice to not, and there's no shame attached to any of that. And so I think that has really really helped me a lot, even just understanding the Enneagram and kind of yeah, what my personality profiling is underneath
Hmm.
there. And it's just, it's the foundation. We're so complex as human beings, so complex, but this is just about what motivates you and what drives you. And so, yeah, I help other people do that to experience more freedom in their life and intimacy in their relationships. So I
That's
really,
awesome, man.
yeah.
It's that agency you're talking about really is the opposite of victimhood, and knowing that
Mm,
like you do have the choice whether you do this workout. You do have the choice what you put in your mouth. Like taking
mm,
ownership of that, whether it's the decision that you wish you had made or not, brings peace in your life because you are in control of those decisions, and they don't always have to be perfect, but owning them, it just creates that alignment where you don't lose motivation to continue. So
right.
I'm glad that you said that. What are some of the things that you're proud to say that you can do now after this time that you've spent focusing on getting stronger, and the changes that you've made in your mental game also?
Yeah. So a couple really practical things. Last summer, I think the most pull-ups I did in a row were like three, like strict pull-ups.
Hmm.
Um, and now I'm getting reps of above 10, in one shot.
Yeah.
And then with the kipping, learning to kip, I did 100 on Monday. Um, so that's like a very clear, oh my goodness, that's very different from what it was. Back in December, I had a couple of discs at the bottom of my vertebrae out of place. And so they were really limiting my ability to do deadlifts with proper form. And I didn't realize that they were out of place. And so I started doing some deadlifts and I hurt myself. And so I had to back off for a little bit. But at the time, deadlifting 135 was felt like a lot for me.
Hmm.
And this morning I deadlifted 210. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I did that. And I feel like I could probably go up a little bit next time.
Yep.
Um, so even just that, it's like, it's so cool to look back and be like, yeah, like you've helped me, Jonathan, like progressively add more and then take some off or stay at the same weight or whatever it is, depending on what I need that week, to the point where I've just built more and more strength. So there's, a bunch of other exercises like that that I
Yeah.
just do so much more weight now that's just exciting to see the strength built.
I love that. And just to go back to what you said about some weeks we add weight, some weeks we don't. Like you can only stay motivated to continue if you can zoom out and look at this as a bigger picture than like, did I add more this week? Did I add more the next week? Like, no, it's more about like, is this the person that you're becoming who wants to get stronger for the rest of your life, that wants to focus on your health, to be that person for other people, that kind of stuff. That's the good stuff right there. The byproduct is just the physical things that we see and the strength that you accumulate. What like how has focusing on your strength and the mental benefits from training kind of translated into things like confidence and the way that you carry yourself in difficult situations that aren't in the gym?
Yeah. I've always had what I've said is bad posture. Um, Now, my dad, so that there is actually a genetic thing to that.
The
Yeah,
kyphosis.
we have very similar builds. Um, and so did his mom, and yeah, anyway. Um, but I think I've used that as an excuse for my lack of confidence over the years because many times in social situations I'll find myself slouching. I'm 6'1", and so I'm taller than most of the people that I interact with on a daily, basis. And so I often don't feel confident about the fact that I'm taller, so I make myself smaller. Um, and I have felt so much more confidence, particularly in the last 6 months, even though we've been working together for almost 10 or 9, I think. I particularly felt a lot more confident in the last 6 months to have my head held high when I'm interacting in social situations and not in a cocky way, but genuinely in a confidence way of, hey, it's okay that I take up space.
Hmm.
Hey, that I'm tall and it's okay for me to display my
Hmm.
tallness by having good posture and
Yeah.
taking care of my body in that way. That's one really practical way that it's helped me with confidence. But also just knowing like I think about the younger me, 12-year-old Sawyer who would look at 27-year-old Sawyer now and be like, whoa. And that's a cool thing to think about. Um, yeah. So
That's so
that's really
cool, man. Yeah, I love that. And I remember talking to you on the phone that first day, just hearing your story and the kind of where you wanted to go with this and being super excited knowing that if you could like detach yourself from wanting instant results and stick with the process that you're going through now, like you are going to be a physically and mentally changed person in 5, 10 years. And that is still super like long past your days of digital barbell. I'm confident that you're going to look back even now at this time now and be like, wow, I was just a beginner then. Look at me now. That's super exciting for me.
absolutely. I agree.
Okay, last thing is I want to just make you go back in your mind to before you picked up the phone and talked to me, or even years before that, because there's a lot of people probably watching this that are now where you were then. What do you say to that person who is afraid to like take that first step and prioritize themselves, or they think it's going to be too hard, or they've failed at things in the past? What should they do?
Hmm. For me, I know that I was concerned that I would I would give this financial investment and then fail and not have the results that I wanted and end up with less money than I had and more frustration at myself. And I think in some respects, like I don't want to I always get so wary of people who are just like, do this and it'll change and it'll be great, 100% money back guarantee. um, because there's no risk involved in that. And I think when we do hard things, and I think when growth comes into our lives, there has to be a level of risk that we choose to do, high risk, high reward.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and so for me, it was a matter of that kind of realizing, okay, risk, growth requires risk. And then secondly, it was a mindset of this is also a long-term investment in my health, in my body. I look at, you know, all of my grandparents have passed away, and none of them lived to be 90. Only a few, only two of them lived to their 80s.
Hmm.
Um, and so I look at that, and they didn't have the most healthy physiques or quality of life in that sense. And I don't want to be that way when I'm older. I want to have kids, I want to have grandkids, and I want to be able to easily get down on the floor and play with them and then get back up and like, not have this big pain in my back or throwing my back out or stuff like that. Like, there's so much about the future that I want to invest in now. And that's like obviously the end of my life future, but there's even more near future.
Hmm.
Um, that I want to invest in my body. I've been
Hmm.
given a body for a reason, and so I think I should take care of it. Um, and that's worth the investment to me. You know.
And I think one thing about that is like basically what you're talking about is putting something at stake that makes you more likely to follow through and be consistent. And that can be different for people. I mean, we have clients that the money that they pay us every month is nothing. They spend that on coffee per
Yeah.
month. But their time is their version of, ponying up something that's hard for them to give up. But they're putting that time at risk, trusting us to guide them to what they want to get. So it could be different for somebody else. But I think the takeaway from what you said is, think about what are you afraid to put at stake to get what you say that you want. That's probably what you need to put on the line to finally risk getting what you say that you want.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud to be your coach, man. Like my goal for you is to continue to guide you while we're working together, but to also empower you with the knowledge and the confidence to go on and do this without me. So, and I'm confident that you know you're going to pass the buck on to other people who need to know this information. Also, setting the example for them, being willing to help them, and yeah, I just feel lucky to get to coach you. So I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story with people. What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they're interested in learning more about the Enneagram and kind of using it as a tool to help them?
Yeah. I would say the number one best way is following me on Instagram and reaching out that way. Um, I don't know if you have show notes for this or something, or if you
Yeah,
could
I'll put
like
it in the
handle
description
that.
on
Okay,
YouTube.
great. Cool. Perfect.
What would
Uh,
be that? What's your handle, just in case somebody's just
oh
is
yeah,
driving and doesn't want to look?
sure. It's Beyond Your Fears Coaching.
Awesome, great name.
Yeah, thank
All right, well, Sawyer, once again, appreciate your time and for coming on this 15-minute episode of 5 Minutes with.
naturally.
Like you said, you worked out this morning. I have not reviewed your workout yet for today, but I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, good stuff. Be
All
gracious.
right, have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, man. You too.
Thanks.